way to relax and be with family and friends. Snow's been good, although this week's not so great. We're the big thaw, but it's been a nice to see snow on the ground consistently. So we're going to jump right in. Don, you want to take the roll?
Yeah, sure.
You have the roll?
No, I'll go through because I wanted to point out a couple new folks here and some that's, so Dave, you're present, obviously. Lisa Bouchard, I thought, yes, you're here. Deb Conrad is here. John Bradley, Jen Phillips. I thought, yep, you're here. Drink your coffee. Kara Boyle. Don't see her in here yet. Matt Stinchcom and Matt Mercier. I'm looking at my list over here too. Jamie Perano Nordstrom.
She's here.
Sean Casey. Don't see him yet. Steve Powers. Steve, you on? Yep, I see your name on there. John Leone here. Kathy Schneider is here. Betsy Albert. She notified she wasn't going to be here. Tom Pano and Laura Canamello. And we have Supervisor Adams and Collins.
Happy New Year.
Denal, okay, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Brenda's here. Okay, good. Terrence will not be able to make it here today. We have we invited 3 new members who have not been officially, we recently there's some changes. So we have Victoria Mills from Cayman.
Cayman. Yay.
Hello.
Hi, Victoria.
Thank you. We have Chris Van Mosner from Village of Kinderhook. I saw him on here.
Yeah, hi, morning all.
Chris, how you doing? And Sam Semchenko. Did she make it on here?
From Hudson, right?
From Hudson, yes. We sent her an invite. I don't know if she made it on here yet or not. So those are our 3 newly nominated members who haven't been involved with the task force previously.
Thank you, new members and old members, for joining and for participating in this volunteer effort. Hopefully we'll have an exciting year ahead as we hope to launch into the work of the Climate Action Plan for the county, and we'll get an update on that in a minute, as well as some events around Earth Day that we'll talk about, and a gathering. Hopefully we can do a larger gathering in the fall, like we've done in the past, with activists throughout the county that are working on clean energy, climate, environment, conservation. We've done that kind of roundtable gathering in the past, and it's been fun. I think we could do that again. So, and other events as we can plan them, and other types of activities. So thanks again. Let's jump on into the agenda. Before we get to the Climate Action Plan, nominations are still outstanding. That means that the nominations have not been made yet, Don, by the towns. Is that right?
Yeah, we haven't received anything from the town yet.
Okay, so the list is in the agenda. So if it involves you, please contact your town board and pester them. Austerlitz, Chatham, Claremont, Gallatin, Germantown, Hudson, I think, is being dealt with.
Hudson's taking care of it.
Kinderhook and Livingston.
Yep.
So, okay. Don, give us some good news.
we made some slow progress on getting the contract. So it is, we did get confirmation from DEC that's they have what they need. It is now back in their hands. They have to do their sort of final review on it before they send it back to us for our signing. It looks like hopefully the end of this month or early February, we'll have an actual signed contract. So we can
All right.
start actually moving forward and doing something with RFP is the next thing. Actually, the first thing we would probably do is DEC wants to look at the RFP before we send it out. So we'll probably have an initial meeting with someone from DEC, go over our work plan and budget with them, and show them our RFP that we spent quite a bit of time developing. They shouldn't have any problem with it.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
the next step after the contract is signed.
All right. And then once we've done that, we can put an RFP out for a consultant, and get moving. And that will lead to a lot of work, really as much work as people want to put into it. There'll be opportunities for public outreach as we solicit feedback throughout that process, and opportunities for us to help facilitate that public outreach and bring people to the table and reach out to stakeholders that maybe aren't always listened to or aren't always solicited, including those that are as well. And then there'll be opportunities to review drafts and information, and provide feedback as well. So this group can be very involved, and I know a bunch of us will be. Hopefully most of us will be as time allows. Thanks, Don, for that. It is a slow process. It's frustrating, especially in this day and age, that, we have so many headwinds, and this seems like something in our control in the state with a favorable set of policies. But we'll get it going, and we'll move forward and make a meaningful plan for the county. So something more in our control, Earth Day events.
David, before we go on, sorry to interrupt. Can we just
Go ahead, Steve.
motion to approve the minutes first?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. You moved, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, a second on the minutes from December. Thank you, Deborah. And anyone opposed, please make yourself known. Otherwise, we'll consider that everyone's tacit consent. Great. The minutes are approved. Thanks, Steve. Anything else on the action plan before we move on? There's not much to say at this point. Any questions? Okay.
I'm sorry, I have just one last thought. If we move ahead with the RFP, so we get the contract, we meet with DEC, we get the RFP approved and out, and we get someone selected, where does that put us in terms of our overall timeline? Are we ahead or behind?
Oh, we're behind. Yes.
Yeah.
And does the funding have any ceiling associated with it? Is that an issue of concern? 5 years?
5 years.
Okay.
So we're fine.
So while we're a little behind schedule, we're moving in the right direction, and there's no concern about funding.
Not the
Correct.
state, not the DEC funding. There is some county funding, right? That was contributed, I think 30,000. And I don't know. I imagine that was approved for what year? For 25?
I just want to familiarize, Don, I'll do this offline with Denal, and I'll do this offline with you. Just want to make sure that we've got all the funding lined up. There's no issue with that.
Yeah.
So we can keep an eye on it, in other words.
Good question. Thanks, Brenda, for pointing that out. There may be some things we need to do at the county level to make sure that the funding continues, but it certainly seems like we'll be able to spend the money, or at least significant amounts of it, in 26, assuming we hire someone by middle of the year. Okay, great. So Earth Day, for those that were not involved in previous meetings or their memory is a little foggy from December, got fogged out by the holidays. We have been talking about doing, well, perhaps coordinating is a better description, and advertising the various Earth Day events that are happening throughout the county that continue to happen. Tree planting is the focus. Cleanups as well are important, but tree planting in the spring. And many towns have projects, big and small, that they're already kind of planning. We would like to, it's an aspirational goal, we'd like to have at least one symbolic tree planted in each town. That would be nice, hopefully more than that. So we began discussing reaching out to towns, our towns, and finding out what is being planned, and then communicating that back to Don so we could keep a list, and we could eventually, soon start amplifying that out to folks, so people who wanted to volunteer could hear about it. Maybe we could get some publicity around it. And then there's a second idea of maybe selecting a site, perhaps a CLC conservation area or another public area in the county where we could coordinate among this group a particular plant effort. And I know I'd love to be involved in something like that if we can get that organized. So that's kind of where that's where I recall we left it. And Don, I don't know how much information you may have received, if at all, from folks about efforts that are being planned. I know we've discussed some at our previous two meetings on this forum. Don, any updates there from folks?
No, I don't recall receiving anything. That most of it's kind of been revolving around the progress report stuff. People have been sending a lot of that in. I'll just say that I am going to attend my town's town board meeting next week and run a few ideas by them. I have a feeling probably with our town will probably be more like a symbolic single tree planting in the town park sort of thing. I don't think we're ready for a community forest planting yet, but one step in the right direction. So I'm going to go talk to them next week about it.
Yeah, that's great. So just a reminder to please, reach out to the folks who might be involved in these things in your town. If you're not involved yourselves, go to the town board, the local Climate Smart Task Force, Conservation Advisory Councils, whoever might know, and see if there is something happening in your town. And if so, let Don know any of the details you can gather, so we can track that. And again, we can kind of help to amplify that and advertise that out to the public so people know. It would also just be nice to know what's happening and in other towns. Brenda?
I think we also talked about the symbolic tree evolved from the idea of doing something to commemorate the 250th anniversary. Is it possible? I mean, obviously this committee, I think, would prefer that it be a native tree, right? I'm wondering if there's a possibility that we could identify a list of, 1 to 3 or 4 trees that would be preferable, and maybe help source those trees for towns. And maybe we could come up with a little tiny brass plaque or something on the trees that would commemorate Earth Day and the 250th anniversary. So it really is, it's recorded. It becomes part of the fabric of the town's history.
Yeah, great.
What do you think? I mean, I know the native forests were, what trees would we recommend that towns look at? I mean, obviously, if it's one symbolic tree, you're probably going to want a tree that's, maybe a little showier. Dylan, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, hello, everyone. Yes, I just shared in the chat, there's a great local resource called developed by Partners for Climate Action and Pollinate Hudson Valley. That is a list of tree species. They also have other lists for other perennials, herbaceous plants, but this list is tree species that support regionally at-risk pollinators. we utilized that list last year to implement our municipal assistance program done by Columbia County Soil and Water Conservation District, an organization I belong to, and using that list and some funding, ARPA funding we received, we planted 37 ball and burlap trees at several municipal parks. And yeah, again, all species were from this list. So I think it's a great opportunity to kind of use some local research to give focus to that effort. And there's a lot of familiar plants on there, like shadbush and various oak species.
Yeah, there are dozens of species that would be beneficial and are native to our region. And really, some of it depends on the site. In large part, I wouldn't just recommend you plant this tree in every place. I would really consider whether it's an appropriate tree for the site, both in terms of its habitat and also in terms of its habit and how it will grow in that location that you're planting it, whether it's appropriate, and if there are utilitarian concerns around, the tree. And in addition to bald and burlap trees, which of course are more immediately gratifying in their size, but much more expensive, we can also recommend bare root trees. And, Arthur's Point, my farm, we have trees available. There are many other nurseries as well who supply bare root trees. They can be ordered online and shipped, making it a lot easier to obtain them and to plant them. They're much smaller, they're much cheaper. And that's the trade-off, of course, is that you're going to have to protect them, especially in the first couple of years, and nurse them a little bit more so they get established. But once they do get established, they tend to grow better than often, not always, than a bald and burlap tree, which can compromise a lot of the root structure. So these are the trade-offs we can think about. Don?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Dylan about the maintenance after they're planted. I know, as I said, I'm going to go talk to my town board next week, and I know that they had planted a few evergreens as Christmas trees in the park, and they planted 2. They both died the first year. They planted 2 the next year, and we only have 1 of them is remaining. So I noted, and Dylan said they had great success and had like 100%. 0% mortality of the plants trees they planted this past year. So maybe how much effort is that to ensure that happens? It
was a challenging summer. It was very dry, but we worked with highway departments, local volunteer groups, municipal leaders to develop watering schedules, and would check in with the municipalities that were awarded these trees regularly to make sure they were getting watered. It is a challenge, and I suggest that if you do move forward with like a couple, let's say 20 municipalities planting trees, maybe having someone or some group from the municipality signing like a letter of commitment for watering, because everyone says, oh, we'll water, but then, people get busy. So yeah, the watering part was critical. And then, we're only 1 year in, but we partnered with highway departments to mulch the trees. Highway departments have an abundance of wood chips. It can be a free source of mulch. And what I liked about the ball and burlap trees is that it is a little bit more prominent, and I think encourages that responsibility, because it's not just a small tree in a tree tube that's not really very visible to the community. I also wanted to know, and I emailed, I'm not sure if you saw this note that I sent to Don and David, but we're planning to implement this municipal assistance program again this year. We have funding, we can provide logistical support to municipalities interested in tree plantings, and we would, consider partnering instead of doing our independent work, maybe partnering with this task force around this tree planting effort. So we're not, reproducing what you're already doing.
That's great, Dylan. Thank you. How many can you give us a sense of the scale of your budget in terms of how many trees you think you could fund?
I think,
and
yeah, I think
Go
we could fund, looking at, so last year we used Maple Lane, nursery. We did put it to bid because of, it reached that procurement threshold. We used Maple Lane and we could, they have trees with at a variety of price points, but we could afford one tree per municipality. Let's say there's 23 municipalities. One tree per municipality in like the $200 to $250 range. And that would be like a 2-inch caliper red oak, or maybe a 7-foot multi-stem shad bush. Our district already has our board of directors has already supported us using this funding toward a municipal project of this nature. So I think we're kind of already set up to fund a project of this type.
that's great. Brenda, you're muted.
I love the idea of this collaboration between your agency and the task force. I think that gives gravitas to this, that we're all working together. The other thing that comes to mind is DEC does their bare root sale in May. That's a question? And I'm wondering, are the trees that they're providing, I haven't purchased from their bare root sale for the last 3 or 4 years, are those native trees or are they non-native trees? Are they native trees for the most part?
Yeah, for the most part, they're native. They're very small. So
I know.
bare
I've
roots
planted
can
several
be,
hundred of them.
yeah, I mean, that's the trade-off is if you're planting
Yeah.
one tree, I agree with Dylan, and you want it in a public place, it's prominent, you want people to pay attention, it does make sense to invest more and put a ball and burlap tree in. But if you're planting multiple trees, just from a budgetary standpoint, also just from the logistics of planting, often in a restoration context, that's a different direction. And I would definitely recommend doing something with bare roots. Bare roots.
My thought was that if we as towns promoted the DEC bare root sale and any other bare root sale, at the nurseries around the county, that maybe at least the DEC trees could be picked up at the towns as part of their Earth Day celebration, rather than everybody having to go to Greenport. We could have those trees, we could pick them up, have them here, and make it a tree day, a tree morning, a tree event.
Donal, I think that's Donal. Is that you, Donal, with your hand up? Yep. There you
Yeah, Dylan's too modest, but the Columbia County Soil and Water Conservation District also has a bare root sale. I'll let Dylan explain it, but it's an incredible service. And Dylan, just tell us a little bit about it and when you submit your list of trees for order.
Sure. Yeah. So we have a sale similar to the New York DEC. It's slightly more affordable than the DEC. It's oftentimes packs of 10 very small ball and burlap or bare root trees for $20. So about $2 a tree. And then we have in recent years, it's almost all native species where Michelle Lindsay, our office manager, is looking into local research to help us find which species we want to include in that list. The list for next year's tree sale will be available in just a couple weeks, and we'll go onto our website. And another note with those ball and burlap trees, if that effort does move forward, they are heavy, a couple 100 pounds sometimes, even the smaller ones, and we could also support the delivery of those trees to municipalities. If we had a nursery deliver them, it would add up those delivery costs, but we could potentially, we're about to purchase a small trailer, potentially deliver those trees.
Dylan, can you talk more about what would be involved from the town standpoint, what you would do, what the town would need to do in terms of getting those trees in the ground? So you would supply the tree, maybe you could deliver them. That's great news. And then what's the responsibility of the different parties?
So last year, the effort was multiple trees per municipality, which warranted the holes getting dug, which was done by, in the case of the town of Chatham, it was a volunteer professional landscaper who came out, and I think the Supervisor Denal came out and with a backhoe and dug those holes. The hole typically needs to be, at slightly shallower than the height of the root ball. So we're talking about like a foot and a half down, and maybe a few feet wide. So the town, it would be great if the towns could help dig the hole with maybe municipal help or volunteer help. I think if it's just one hole, some elbow grease could do it without heavy equipment. If the town could work with their municipality to have like a yard of wood chips delivered, that would be fantastic. Whether or not we could budget any soil amendment, it would be great to have some topsoil. We found that in a lot of these municipal parks, such as Supervisor Adams, your park, the soil is pretty marginal. And so it's nice to add a higher quality soil around that root ball when you're planting that tree. So
what you're saying is you supply the tree and you expect the town to plant it and then help it get established in that first season.
Yes, we could certainly, put our heads together, Soil and Water and the task force to maybe develop, a plan to do the planting and to maintain those trees so that the towns have a document to go off of. But yeah, getting the tree, it would be nice if the town had someone there who had experience planting a tree when the tree is planted, right? I think a lot of these events are probably going to happen on that Saturday after Earth Day. So it's going to be hard for, myself or some people from your group to reach all of those events.
Yeah. We can definitely point people to resources in terms of, protocols, procedures for planting, and also materials needed. We found that an auger works really well, planting multiple trees. We usually use an 18-inch auger, and that if you're doing multiple trees, that's convenient. But perhaps that can be holes can be dug. But if it's one tree, one hole, then you get a few people to dig, and that's that. So that should be pretty easy. All right. Well, we need point people from each town to apply, I suppose, right? To contact Dylan or contact us if we're working together to make themselves known so we can coordinate this.
Yeah, and Dave, maybe we could work together and pick like several species that might have some local conservation benefit that are generalists. That might be like if we could present the towns with like a small menu of like, would you like an oak or a shadbush, for example?
I mean, we can characterize it by habitat and habit, maybe a list, and then people can say, I know this location, it's a little wetter, it's a little sunnier, and they can choose a tree based on a very simple menu. Not too many options, I agree. We could do that, Dylan, and also I think putting a list together, Brenda, I think you mentioned this, of where to get trees, including Soil and Water, DEC, other nurseries, Bare Roots in particular, so people know where to get trees. Other supplies like mulch and topsoil and tree tubes or deer exclusion protections. So people have a, kind of a bit of a guide. We could put that on our website. We could, perhaps Soil and Water could point to it as well. And we could use that maybe as a resource for people to refer to. So that's something that we could do. I think what we should do is have an offline meeting to coordinate all this. So Dylan, why don't you and I coordinate that, and anyone else that wants to join, just let me know, and send me an email, and I'll include you in that, that follow-on meeting. In terms of outreach, this group is really going to be important in terms of outreach to the towns. If you already know you're the person, great. Let us know. If you know who those people are that might want to plant this tree or plant multiple trees or develop a community project of planting, then please get in touch with them and put them in touch with us. I'm happy to talk to people if they have questions and if they're wondering which direction to go or where to get started, but they have an interest. So you can put me in touch with people as well. But we're really relying on this group to do that outreach, because otherwise we just don't have, we can't reach people in these towns. People won't necessarily know. They'll do their own thing and won't be as coordinated. Kara, I think you're next.
Yeah, I wanted to put a plug too, because Dylan, I'm from Copake, and you guys did a bunch of trees for us in April. And we had the highway department come in and work with them. I didn't manage that project. A couple other people on my conservation and climate smart task force did, but it worked out really well and people were very happy with it. Fingers crossed the trees still look good, and they were large. I think, was it 12 that we planted? I think that was the number. And a whole mix of ones that you had on the list that you linked to us. Dave, I'd be happy to coordinate, because we did it. I can talk to my colleagues who organized it with our highway guys, who just did a great job, and they're on a watering schedule. So we had to pick it strategically so it'd be easy for them to do. So that was something, and it's right off the town hall building, which is right near that big farm that's in the center of Copake. So it was in need of shade in that section. So it was a really good spot for us. And I like the idea of, and I'm also thinking if there are any other towns here, I don't know if we could do it together. I don't know how that works. I don't think you can share highway department folks, but if any towns had questions about how to do it, I'm happy to be the liaison to get those answers. So keep me on that list if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kara. Jennifer.
I'm just, you're saying, we have a parks committee in Claremont, and that we've got a new park, and we are trying to get more trees in. So I'm sure they'll be interested, but are you saying that we should have people contact you like now, or is there going to be a committee that'll put together something on the website so that people can apply? They can go to the website, see kind of how it works, and apply officially.
That's up to Dylan can explain how that will work with the soil and water trees. This is all kind of new, this concept, but Dylan, you want to speak to that in terms of your trees, in terms of what you're offering, what the process would be for towns?
Yeah, and the process, what we did last year is we sent out a survey and to all the municipal leaders to see if they were interested in receiving trees that support regionally at-risk pollinators. And we got limited feedback. Sometimes it's just hard to reach people. So we don't. Yeah, I was kind of hoping to. I wasn't sure if that networking had already been established with this group. We were hoping to kind of glom onto that. So I could help develop a very simple application for it. With David and your group's input on what's on that application. Do you want a tree? What's and maybe like a menu of species. But yeah, I think contacting all these various conservation groups and task forces might be challenging. So I think I would, need help with that.
It sounds to me it doesn't need to be necessarily need to be a formal process from your perspective. That if someone from a town like the Parks Commission in Jennifer's town, someone said, "Yeah, we'd love to receive a tree," then you would just work with them directly.
Yeah, and maybe in the application there could be a little bit of background about what's expected of them, such as having some site preparation. watering schedule commitment, volunteers. Yeah, like we're not going to be there to plant the tree. We can
Right.
deliver it to you. The site preparation needs to be done by the town. Wood chips need to be provided by the town. So that could be on the application. And then we could certainly provide like a one-on-one coordination with those municipalities to figure out where exactly, when and where it needs to be dropped off.
Yeah, I mean, I think my point is that it should be formalized a little bit, having an actual something written up rather than just saying, oh yeah, I email somebody and contact this person and they'll help you. It doesn't feel very democratic to do it that way. If there's something where it can be widely distributed and everybody has the same information, and then if they have further questions, they know who to reach. But having some kind of a written up application would be great. But the thing that we're kind of talking about is how do we coordinate this with our broader efforts for Arbor Day or, Earth Day. And I feel like what the trade-offs between getting a great big tree versus a bunch of little trees, those are clear, but I think it would be great to have it coordinated so that people are doing both, because there's plenty of towns that would also like to maybe plant 20 of something else. And if a few of them die, it's not the end of the world. But having a big, kind of a large tree that has meaning and people are really excited about it is great. And also doing lots of little ones. So I'm just, the application that you're talking about would come from Soil and Water, but is there a broader, maybe once we get the broader framework for the day together, then we just list that as one of the things communities can do so that we have a contact for that application. But yeah,
we talked about, I think that's great on the Soil and Water tree. Sounds like maybe one or two trees per town, and I'll work with Dylan and anyone else that wants to participate. We'll put this application together with some information on the kind of what the deal is, what the agreement is from the town, what their responsibilities are, what Soil and Water is going to offer, and what they need to do to maintain these trees. That's one thing. On the larger effort for Arbor Day or Earth Day, as we've talked about, I think we didn't want to overcomplicate a process where we don't have the capacity to coordinate each tree planting effort in each town. So instead, we wanted to kind of like what Dylan's saying, glom on or publicize the existing efforts and encourage people to do more of that. And then we can publicize that. We can provide some resources in terms of where to get trees. We can maybe reach out to some groups like Partners for Climate Action and see if there's some funding so people could get trees for free. We can provide resources in terms of a planting guide and nurseries, where to find things. But in terms beyond that, I think it's a big, it'd be a heavy lift for us to do more than that in various towns. Perhaps there's one project that we as a group could be more involved in organizing, and that's a question. So I think that's kind of where we left it. I'm not sure that's what the consensus is or what most people feel is appropriate here, but that's how I recall it.
I was going to suggest too, if we have a nice write-up that's simple with the application, I'll work, I'm still trying to get the EMC to start using that space they have in the Register Star / Hudson Valley 360. And then we could also maybe have an article run in the Columbia paper. And then each one of us could post that article on our town website. So that's a good way just to get the information out there. Doesn't do a whole lot of, we make it clear that we are not coordinating it. The town has to coordinate it directly, but that's a good dissemination aspect if you want me to do that.
Yeah, that sounds good, Kara. Brenda?
The only other thing I would say is the Economic Development Committee meets the last week in January, and Soil and Water falls under that home committee. So I think if we had this information available for the committee in the last week of January, and then we could further distribute it to the full board for its February meeting. So then we could make sure that every supervisor is aware of this program. And create an expectation that every community participate. So see if we can, identify additional support, but also, apply a little bit of peer pressure to, wanting this to be a countywide effort as, part of Earth Day and also part of the 250th anniversary.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we should get going on this, get this application and kind of the terms together, written up, along with encouraging people to initiate or expand or work on their own, independent towns, tree planting campaigns with a list of resources that are available for folks. We can post it on our website, Soil and Water, I'm sure, and then have that both virtually and maybe something to hand out for your committee meeting. When is that meeting? The Economic
The
Development?
Economic Development Committee meeting is the last Monday, I think. Hang on one sec. It's the 26th of January.
Okay.
And I just want to say that, this may seem like a small effort, but I think in the context of having our country having withdrawn from all the climate agreements this week, that, these are the kinds of grassroots things that give people hope, and also make it clear to the community that there are people that are invested in these kinds of actions. So
Absolutely.
I don't mean to overstate the obvious, but it feels like an emotional week for climate this week.
It's been an emotional year for climate and other things, so I think we can't overstate it. I think that's important, Brenda. Thanks. And I also think it's important to recognize that this is a big conservation, tree planting, environmental protection is a huge part of our nation's legacy and history, and there's a rich history that we can look back to and we can continue as we celebrate the 250th anniversary. That we can participate in that narrative and not let it get hijacked. So let's move forward. Dylan, I'll reach out, and Kara and anyone else, let me know if you want to participate. We're not going to overcomplicate it. We're just going to get some words on the page and move forward. So we'll work on something, and I'll reach out later today, Dylan, to get something scheduled. Thank you so much for that offer and for joining us and reaching out. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Christina? Okay, thought you had your hand up. In addition
Sorry,
to...
I did. I took my hand down instead of unmuting. I did. Sorry about that. I just want to say this all sounds amazing. And I had talked about trying to put together a timeline of conservation. And I found a few things to be a jumping off point. I'll put this one in the chat, but I didn't know if, Dylan, not to volunteer you from Soil and Water, but if anyone who has more of a conservation background wanted to join in making like a little booklet effort, that might be great. Or maybe at this point we don't feel like we need it, but just to Brenda's point about all of the rollbacks this week. I know at one point we had talked about having a little bit of a history of conservation in the US for the 250th as well.
Yeah, that's great. So you've been working on something.
Yeah, not that well. I've just been Googling around finding what's already there. And I did talk to the Germantown historian about what we could dig up from Columbia County history to add in, which so far hasn't been super fruitful. But if anyone else knows anyone or another resource to look into, please let me know.
I love that idea of looking really super local at the history of conservation in our towns. And I'll reach out to our historian as well. That's a good idea. Well, if you want to join us, Christina, as we're developing, I mean, it's not exactly the same thing, but maybe there's some, we can include some of this, maybe not in the application for Soil and Water, but in some of the other information describing the effort as a whole. So I'll loop you in and we can talk either through that or separately, and maybe we can come up with something. If anyone else has inspiration or ideas or would like to participate, let me know. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
In addition to the trees, we also discussed a film forum of some sort. I don't want to call it a festival, but maybe an afternoon at the Crandall, which, by the way, I went there, finally got there to the new theater the other day, saw Marty Supreme. Good movie. But the Crandall's great. I mean, wow, what a huge upgrade. It's amazing that we have that resource in our community. Very special place. So we reached out to them. This is the quick history. Deb Conrad did, I think, and maybe Catherine, you did as well, right?
Mhm.
We reached out to them, and we learned that they would like to host something. There'd be a charge. I think CLC was willing to sponsor that charge. And the question is, they can't commit until they know their schedule a little bit better. And I think the timing was the end of January, early February. So we thought of perhaps looking at a backup. I reached out to Melissa and Tony at Basilica just this morning to suggest this forum that we might do in September or October in the fall, but also to mention this film effort. So maybe that's a fallback if we can't. They're very busy, obviously, over there, but maybe that's a fallback as a venue. I don't know if we have any other. And then we discussed the local biodiversity film that's available freely on YouTube, screening that. Maybe doing one of Doug Tallamy's presentations. It's good. It's a little dry, but it's good. I mean, it's great stuff. People love it. It's simple. It connects with people. We could continue. We could do that. And then Steve had suggested maybe something related to plastics. I read the other day, this is pretty disturbing, that the average person will die with about, I think it was 6 grams of plastic in their brain, which is the equivalent of like a plastic spoon. Imagine that in your brain. It would be great to not scare people with that information necessarily, come right at them. But if there is something, we're thinking these are shorts, like they're maybe 15, 30 minutes, and we could do several of these in an afternoon. Steve, I don't know if you had any further thoughts on that, or anyone else. I have one suggestion as well. Lisa.
Yes, hi. I know that Deb Conrad in Chatham is working with the Crandall to try to do some kind of a film event. As an alternative, the Spencertown Academy is really committing to team up with the town, our Austerlitz Town Climate Smart Committee, and it's an indoor venue. We can seat about 70 people. We do films there often. We're planning on Earth Day to screen our little Austerlitz film that we did about local climate activists, etc. So we've set aside April 18th as our Earth Day event day at the Academy. Like I said, we're working with the town as well. So if there are other films that people would like to screen there, get in touch with me. That's that Saturday before Earth Day. Our whole town task force is gonna also focus on that day. We're feeling like actual Earth Day is in the middle of the week, so it's a little tough for people to come out. So we wanted to do it on the weekend. So that's an alternative venue that we're proposing as well.
That's great. Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. Brenda, your question in the chat, we talked about having tables in the lobby. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I remember we talked about that. We also talked about maybe doing something across the street at CLC if that didn't work, but I'm not sure where we were, if anyone remembers or has more information.
Just a quick, Terrence isn't here today, but he did say that he's pretty sure CLC is willing to sponsor whatever happens with Crandall. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's great. Thank you. Laura.
Yeah, we also have a theater in Valencia that could be the community theater in Valencia. So as another alternative, I haven't checked with anybody about that, but it could be used. There's performances there. They show movies there. if it turns out that you need a contact about that, let me know and I could find out if it's available.
Great. That's super helpful. Nice to have backup. So I don't know if we have any further information from the Crandall, but who was last in touch? I thought Terrence was. Deb, you as well, Conrad? Catherine? I don't remember who was primarily in touch with folks there.
I haven't been in touch with Marissa since that initial email, so I thought I would wait until the end of January, beginning of February to get back to her. So
Great. It sounds like that's a potential, and then now there's a couple other potential options, at least for alternative venues, which is great. In terms of films, I can't remember the name of it, the wildlife film that was done in the Hudson Valley. It's on YouTube. We discussed that it probably will not be a problem to just show that. I can't imagine why it would. We won't be charging anything, any admission. It's already publicly available. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions for anything related to plastics. We're involved in a biochar project. We have been for several years. It's a USDA SARE project, and we're finishing a 25-minute documentary that we did visiting farms throughout New York and the region who are and also scientists that are studying biochar. That might be something that we could screen as well. And if other people have other ideas, then let us know now or later. Any other thoughts on this effort?
I was going to report this in ours. We're doing a movie in Copiague at the Grange on April 18th about bees and pollinating bees. So that's part of our Earth Day effort.
Great. So there's already two events on the 18th. So if we had talked about dates, but we should not do it on the 18th. If we're going to do this other event, the broader event, maybe we do it the following weekend. That's good to know.
We're also going to do one in New Lebanon, Dave, using one of the plastic films at our library. We haven't figured out which one yet, but it'll be one of the ones in that link that I had sent previously.
Okay. And when is that going to be, Steve?
18th also.
Okay. Great. It's a busy day.
Yeah.
That's good. We should get all of this information posted as well on the Earth Day page or whatever it is we put up related to these events. So if you know of other events, please let Don know, including details, time, location, etc. All right, let's move forward. Countywide climate meeting. Like I said, we discussed doing something like what we had done a few years ago at Basilica, and then we did another virtual gathering, which Tistria was primarily responsible for organizing, I remember, and a bunch of other people, but it was very successful. It was on Zoom, and it was hundreds of people, or maybe 100 people. It was a lot of people. Breakout sessions. It was kind of remarkable. We're thinking about doing another gathering, maybe making it a little more social in addition to informational, and something in the fall. And that's about all we have on that right now. Like I said, I reached out to Melissa and Tony at Basilica. I have no idea whether that's a proper or would be an available venue. Certainly would be a nice place to gather if it is available. I don't know if folks have any other thoughts on this at this point. But of course, if we do move forward, we're going to need a lot of help organizing that from this group and others. Do folks, what's take the quick temperature? Is this, you can yay, nay, terrible idea. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we're going to have to organize it. That's the key. I mean, it'll be a fun event, but great. I see some thumbs up. No one's yelling and screaming. So we'll continue to reach out, and then as this develops, we're going to need to pull people in. Thank you. The progress report Don put together. I don't know if people have looked at that, but it's a lot. It's a lot of information, a lot of money raised, a lot of activities, a lot of progress. I mean, especially to Brenda's point, this week, as we're dismayed by the counterproductive actions of pulling all of us out of international cooperation on climate and other environmental agreements. We're here continuing to do our work humbly in our towns, and that report really summarizes a lot of progress. Millions of dollars raised, many projects initiated. It's small, and then if you multiply it times millions of or thousands of other towns across the country, it's not so small. So that's inspiring to read, Don. Thank you for putting it together. And it's still missing some information. Don, I don't know if you want to talk about where you're at with that and if you need more help.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks to Tara for supplying a lot of the info, the complete list of CEC grants that every town and village in the city have received, and all of the actions that they had completed. So she was able to glean that from some DEC and NYSERDA sources. So thank you, Tara, very much for that. And I just, I thought it was important to list the names of all the people that are involved in it, because you don't realize how many people around the county are really involved in this. There's like about 150 folks, individual folks in almost every town in the county are working on climate. That's in addition to the CACs and NRI folks that are working on things. These are just climate focused folks. So I just wanted, trying to make a big impact I know it's kind of long. It's like over 40 pages long, but that's kind of sort of the point is to make sure everybody knows how much is happening all around the county. And there are some blanks that I know I'm not going to hear from everybody, so I will go through. I'll visit the websites of those people who haven't supplied or can't supply all of the information to fill in the blanks as best I can. But I did receive quite a few of you just responded in the last couple of days, and I will make sure I incorporate all that into the report this afternoon as much as I can. So, not much. I don't know what else there is to say about it.
And then Don, does that get that'll get submitted to the board, or what's the
yes, I will email it to I think I don't know, Brenda Denal would like to send it out to your fellow Board of Supervisors members. Maybe that's the right avenue to send it out.
Great. Jennifer, you had your hand up first.
Yeah, just I really appreciate this document, Don, and one of the things that it makes me want to send it out, and of course I'll wait until the final version is there, but it's not that somebody's going to read every single line, but for me, Claremont is the laggard here, one of the towns that's barely done anything.
Stockport is not even on the
list. But I feel like it's inspiration. We can look through and see what other people have done and get ideas. And I feel like it'll help prod us on. And I also want to share it with, my graduate students and other people who, just to say, there's all this great stuff happening. And I feel like it really does help, bolster our just lagging faith in the world right now. So thanks for putting it together.
Yeah, and it'd be great to get get an article written on it or two as well, get some publicity, because there's a lot there to report on. Kara, I think you're next.
Yeah,
Brenda.
Oh, sorry.
So I just wanted to say that maybe the representatives on this committee could speak with their town supervisor or whomever is responsible for returning information to Don to help him fill in the gaps, because there were, quite a few gaps, and it would be nice to have those, have us help Don or assist Don with the border collie job so he doesn't have to do it all himself. So that's all I had to say. And I do think that Deb Lands or someone would, this would be a great article for Deb Lands to do for the Columbia paper.
Yeah, once it's completed, we'll reach out to her and perhaps others. To Brenda's point, take a look if you haven't opened it up. Take a look at, open it up, scroll through it. It's fast to scroll through. You don't have to read every line. Look for your town. If your town's listed there and there's nothing listed for the activities that have been done to date, then that's your cue to do what Brenda's saying and try to help Don fill that in. That would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. Kara.
Yeah, I'm going to work with the EMC to do a newsletter with all of this stuff. And the goal is to get that out by Earth Day. And we'll see what we can do about how we disseminate that. Don, just what's the best way to give you comments on our section? Is it an edit? I forgot when I opened it up. Is it a Google Doc that we can edit or not?
Well, it is, but you can just send it to me in the email if you.
Yeah, I figured that was better. You don't want to
copy your section and put it in an email. It's easier for you to copy and paste it back and forth. That's fine.
Okay, great. And then just for my county, the EMC, what is your timeline for getting it sort of relatively finalized? I mean, I know I can start working on something now because there is a lot of data in there, but I'm just trying to see. I probably want to wait until it's pretty close to being done. Even if it's not finally approved, then I can start working.
Yeah. Well, my goal is to have something ready because I'm going to meet with my town board next week, and I would like to have it fairly polished up by next week, but I'll continue editing it as long as I keep getting stuff, to be honest with you here.
Okay, great.
Even into February, it's
all right, so I'll look at doing maybe February. I'll start working on the draft with the EMC, and we'll see what we can come up with. We can always update it as it changes.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Don. Thanks a lot for all this. I know it's been a lot.
Tom?
Yes, thanks, Don, for putting this all together. Can you clarify, as I was going through it, it looks like you're just recording the clean energy community grants. Are we to include any other grants?
Yes. If you receive grants from something from another entity, I can add that into the accomplishments section. So if you have other additional monies that you receive from other places, I'll add that in somewhere under Philmont's.
Okay. It also appears that it's from the timeline from the inception of the Climate Smart Community to present. Is that the time period?
If you can, yes. I mean, we're really looking at 2025, but I'm including if folks send me everything that they've done, or but the list of actions you've accomplished is really at the end, so I don't need like a list of every action that you've completed. But if you have like certain milestones that you're kind of proud of from the time you started through 2025, you can include those too. I can do a little editing. If it's 4 pages long, I'll probably want to try to cut it down a little bit. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Also, I put the name of the film is The Nature of Nature, and I put that in the chat.
Thanks, Tom. Okay. Thanks again, Don. Great work, and we'll look forward to trying to get that out so people are aware of that happening, especially at this moment in time, this important time. So that is all we have, except for kind of around the horn updates. So we'll, Brenda? I think you're muted.
I'm on the New York State Association of Counties, And we are putting together the agenda, the advocacy agenda for the coming session. And I did send to Don Meltz and to a handful of other people a request for comments on the fact that seeker is going to be reviewed in the next few months. And Victoria, my colleague who's on this call with us, put together a summary that she identified of conservation organizations and their concerns about the current seeker process. And a number of those revolve around environmental justice, and modern significance was another, which talks about incorporating climate science and health impacts into seeker review. And another that kind of caught my attention was protecting the environment while considering housing and energy needs, i.e. looking at current policies and making sure that seeker is not a barrier to some of the climate changes that we're talking about. So once the NISAC has put, this committee is headed by Jim Metzger, who's the county exec for Ulster, who's a very strong climate advocate. Once we have our agenda together, probably mid to end February, I'd like to bring that to this committee so we can better understand what's going before the legislature and what might be of specific interest to us. And the New York Association of Towns is having their annual meeting in the city in February, and we'll have a similar legislative agenda, and I'll also bring that back to the committee at this when that's available. So we did talk about the fact, that we'd like to know what's going on in the legislature and what, if any, issues we may be able to advocate for. So hopefully at least those two sources will provide some information for that discussion.
That's great. Thank you. Before we move to CLC and the other updates, if there are any, Tom?
Yes, I thought we were in the update phase.
Well, we're gonna first. Let's just start with. Sorry to cut you off. We'll get to kind of the kind of unlisted updates at the end. But I don't know if anyone's on. Kara, maybe you can speak to
Sure.
if there's anything update from CLC. Terrence isn't on.
Yeah, we're just quick, two main things. We're still working on the countywide the plan to conserve Columbia County. So we're close to getting the initial smaller booklet that's more of a summary, and we're going through the technical report. So stay tuned for more on that in the coming months. And then Betsy can talk more about the community forest, but there's been a lot of steward and committee work planning the trails and working on getting the trails there. So I'll let her comment on that since she's really close to the ground on that one.
Great.
You want that now?
Sure. Oh, hi. Didn't know you were on, Betsy.
Yeah, I was a late arrival. Sorry about that, folks.
No worries.
We're having our second, but first really official committee meeting on Friday. And we're going to try to kind of put things into clearer focus. We have a lot of good ideas, and we have to start planning what we want to do at the Taconic Community Forest in anticipation of opening up next June, or this coming June, sorry. Yeah, it's 2026, isn't it? So, we're working on things, and it's kind of all starting to come together. And it's going to be really cool and really exciting, and it'll be available on Zoom. If anybody wants to tune in, they certainly can. The link is from the CLC website. But we're going to be talking about a management plan, a forestry plan, and, like Brent, like Kara said, working on trails, deciding what we need to do in order to get this thing ready for the public to come and enjoy it. It is exciting. I'm really, we have a lot of really great people involved in it, and it's just, we're just starting, but I think it really is going to be really great. And as long as I have your ear, I'll just mention that on Saturday, the 17th, the Taconic Climate Smart Committee and CAC is hosting an event on beavers. We're actually going to have a live beaver there. Beaver ambassador. We're going to have somebody talking about using devices to control beaver-human conflicts without having to trap the beavers out. And we're also going to have a woman who runs a wildlife rehab up out of Saratoga, and she's going to bring Bo the Beaver, her ambassador, along. So I think that's going to be really cool. It's be really interesting for municipalities to learn other approaches to dealing with these conflicts with beavers. And it'll be really fun for kids. So you can sign up through the CLC website. It is an RSVP request so that we know how many people to anticipate. But we have close to 100 signups right now. So that's going to be a big event.
Nice.
That's what I mean.
That's good. Good updates. Thank you. Christina, any update from the Clean Energy Hub?
Yeah, yes, a few things. We are having an event at the Spark of Hudson on Saturday, this coming Saturday, from 10 to 11:30. It'll be similar content to what we did in Volusia last year at about this time. But this time we worked with some Hudson High students, and there'll be Bangladeshi content as well for non-native English speakers. And we worked with those kids to make a kind of a booklet of the content as well. So that'll be cute, and free food, free energy saving goodies. Come on out. I think I shared the flyer with you, Don, but if not, I can again, and maybe you could send that around if anyone wanted to share it. We also have an event coming up on February 26th at the at Columbia Green, similar, 6 p.m. And we are also hiring. I'll send Don the job description, but we're hiring for an energy advisor to specialize in commercial buildings and helping nonprofits and things like that with their energy saving goals. And then lastly, I know we've talked a lot about the funding difficulties as state and federal programs contract. In a bit of possible good news, NYSERDA has just proposed to put a few $100 million from the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative into Empower Plus, and they're taking comment on whether or not people support that until tomorrow. I put the link here in the chat if anyone would like to speak to that.
Great. Thank you, Christina. CCE, Lindsay, or anyone else?
Yeah, I'm here today.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. So we have a few events coming up. We have a Maple Sector Energy Efficiency webinar. That's going to be on Thursday, January 29th from 6 to 7 on Zoom. And I'll send out all the links and additional information to Don. We also have a Master Forest Owner Training, which is going to be over multiple Tuesdays between March 17th and April 28th. It'll be every Tuesday, 6:30 to 7:30. It is $35 a person. You have to kind of apply to be brought into that group, but it's a great group. Highly recommend it. We also have a new and beginning farmer seminar that's going to be at our Agroforestry Center on Saturday, January 17th. And then lastly, we're doing more cooking classes this year. They're going to be free. The idea is they're cooking classes sponsored by Columbia County in Columbia County. We have most of them scheduled out. I'll send a list right now just to give you a little sneak peek. I've got one tonight actually in Chatham with youth, PTO, one at Morris Memorial, again with youth, and then the rest of them are going to be more adult family oriented. One being starting in February at Stuyvesant Town Hall. I'll reach out to you, Kathy, with the flyer for that. And then it'll be just buttoning up the registration forms, and I'll send those out to everybody once they come across. But the big draw is that the people that attend will get a bag of groceries to replicate the recipe to bring home, and then also get the piece of equipment. So I think at Stuyvesant, we're using a crock pot. They'll be able to bring home that crock pot. And I think that's it for me.
Great. Lots of good stuff. Thanks, Lindsay. Any other updates? Tom, you've got something.
Yes. So I think we talked about it before, the Claverack Philmont collaboration of the Climate Smart Communities won a Partners for Climate Action grant for a 1-year program to do a bottom-up community-generated ideas about nature in Claverack. So we're just at the end of the first stage, which is one-on-one interviews with the most diverse group of people possible. And we were based on these interviews, there will be an event at the Churchtown Firehouse on February 5th at 5:30. There will be a complimentary chili dinner. And personally, I can say the interviews I've done, just the extraordinary diversity from a Buddhist monk to a pest control technician, to a person whose family has been in Claverack for 3 centuries. It's a wonderful diversity. And what we're looking at is what comes to the surface from all these different people. What is it? What keeps them in Claverack? What's so special about it, and what's special about the nature? So I would certainly welcome. You don't have to be from Claverack to get the chili. We will not have a live beaver, so it's difficult competing with that. But we will have some very interesting humans that will tell you some great stuff.
Sounds entertaining and exciting. Thanks for that update.
Yeah, I'll send the flyer to Dawn for distribution.
Great.
Okay.
Great. I just put in the chat that Harlem Valley Rail Trail Association is also hiring a new coordinator. I think it's a part-time position. So there's a link there to if folks know anyone who might be interested. Laura.
Yeah, I have a question. We had some really bad password login problems with the SFS grants management system. I wondered if anyone else was having this because it was very frustrating. Oh, everybody. I'm seeing lots of, okay. It's insane because we were all ready to, put in a proposal for invasive species management of the hemlocks here at Pachiquac. We couldn't, we missed the cycle. We can't log in, and nothing we do seems to, we can't, the problem can't be corrected, or definitely wasn't corrected before the last deadline. So is there anything can be done?
That is part of the problem that we're having with that's the SFS portal is what we're using with our contract with DEC, and it's it's atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the conversation with my DEC contact is, let me know when you post something there, because she doesn't get notified when I post something there. So what is the whole purpose of that? It's amazing, Laura. I mean, I could go on, but
All right. It's not just us.
No.
Okay.
Tara. Hi, Tara.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say I was talking with Malaysia about this issue because they're struggling with it as well, and we're trying to apply for some grants. And I recommended they reach out maybe to Michelle Hinchy and somebody that could do this, represent you guys and kind of move this up the chain, because this is really impacting grants, and it's incredibly frustrating. So maybe that'll do the trick, and maybe others should do that as well. That's my thought, at least.
Yeah, sounds pretty ridiculous. That's a good suggestion. Betsy.
We had the same problem, and due to Doug Craig's relentless pursuit and our town supervisor and our town clerk repeatedly reaching out, we finally all got our logins. We are finally able to access everything. It took us, 5 months. We were approved for a grant for a culvert replacement last year, and we're trying to get everything rolling. It was just unbelievable. Hours. Doug spent hours with people. So, but we did prevail in the end. So there's hope.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Anything else? That's it. That's
one quick thing. On February 7th, we may meet before that, I think, but Copake's doing a presentation, I think it's at the Grange, on dark skies and the whole concept of, light and everything. So, and artificial light. I don't have a write-up on it yet, but I can certainly send it to Don when I get a little bit more information on it.
Thanks, Kara. Denal.
Yeah, sorry. I know everyone's working really hard, but I wanted to recognize and commend Don for all the work he's doing. Just a massive, massive undertaking he's embraced and carried out to success. So Don, thank you so much for everything you're doing. And I also wanted to encourage, now full disclosure, I sit on the board of the Columbia County Soil and Water Conservation District, but I would encourage everyone to reach out to Dylan because they really have tremendous breadth of offerings, whether educational or bare root, and these municipal assistance programs have just been fantastic. As he mentioned, the town of Chatham did it, 18 trees, I believe, at our park. It's a really beautiful thing. So again, please reach out to Dylan, and thank you, Don. You know, unbelievable effort.
Yeah, here. Thanks, Don. Huge amount of work being done now with you at the helm, which we appreciate. Steve.
Following up on that, yes, I agree wholeheartedly with those comments, Denal. And also, are you, Don and Dave, are you going to be continuing in your roles this year?
Don?
I will be, yeah.
Don's going to be continuing, and yeah, I plan on.
They don't have a choice, Steve.
I don't have a choice, so that's it. Until there's a choice. No, I really appreciate this group. I really appreciate everyone's energy. Everyone's a volunteer and putting a lot into it, and it's inspiring to me. It's at this time. You know, I think we all gain something from getting together. We'll try to do it more in person as well. We see each other around. It's nice to know there's this network of people who care deeply and are working without a lot of fanfare, with no attention, just doing the work, and that's kind of what makes the world go round. We continue doing that, and things will change. We'll be part of that change. It doesn't feel good right now, but this work feels good. So thank you all for doing what you're doing, and Don in particular.
You both are appreciated.
And thank you too.
Yeah.
Dave.
All right, so get on out there. I don't know if you can go for a ski today. But get on outside. We'll continue on, and there'll be some follow-ups after this before our next meeting. So take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.